What is up, everyone? Kevin Hale and Heather Tungate giving it to you on this Sunday night, March 26, 2017. We're doing a round of sports shots tonight, live via Blog Talk Radio. Heather, what's up?
Wow. So I've had a pretty chaotic, 24 to 48 hours in my house. I have a kid with the flu. I had a waterfall in my basement, a busted pipe, and a busted drainage pipe in the side yard of my house. So we're not exactly batting pretty well in the Tungate household tonight.
So is it safe to say if there's a lightning storm, you're probably the last person I want to stand next to?
At this point, probably. Absolutely.
Good Lord, woman. It's a heavy week for you.
I know. I'm going to be selling a kidney later.
On the black market. You heard it first here, people. Check out Heather's Craigslist ad for her kidney, and we'll help promote it as well. Tonight, Heather, we're trying something a little different, as you and I proposed. We've got two segments. One that we're going to dedicate to a single topic, which would mean a single guest, and that will be our first topic of the night, WrestleMania 33 for all of us wrestling fans, the WWE's marquee event coming up next Sunday on pay-per-view. Or actually, no, not on pay-per-view, on the WWE network. I got to say it right. So we'll be talking to Alfred Konuwa, who is a friend of mine. He's a Bleacher Report and Forbes.com reporter, columnist, and so we'll be talking WrestleMania. And then the second segment, Heather, will do what we have been doing, or going back to what we call our round of shots, where we'll have a guest to spar with the three. We'll spar with you and I. Josh Alexander, a friend of ours, is going to come on and join us for that second segment. So Heather, before we get into WrestleMania 33, give us in about 60 seconds how you're feeling after today's game, Kentucky game.
You know what, honestly, if you're going to go, if you're not going to make a shot in the last 4 minutes of the game, especially against a team like North Carolina, obviously that's going to hurt you. I felt like there were a couple of defensive breakdowns. Yes, the refereeing was questionable at times, but, the difference to me also was that Derek Willis, outside of the arc, I think he was 0 for 4 or 0 for 5. And normally he hit some of those shots, and he didn't today. And unfortunately, when you have a 2-point spread at the end of the game, that's kind of big. Plus, we missed some free throws. But, congratulations to Isaac Humphries, who clearly, he had 12 points and like 6 or 7 rebounds. Kid played his heart out. He played valuable minutes when Monk and De'Aaron Fox didn't, really provide anything to the team. But overall, if Kentucky were to get past this game, I fully believe they were going to win the national title. They didn't, and I fully believe North Carolina is going to win the national title. They are the best team left in the field. I think there are teams that could be competitive with them a little bit, but you know what? At the end of the day, I just think North Carolina is too well-rounded. They'll end up winning.
Yeah, good take. We'll continue basketball talk at the second half of the segment, but for the first segment, turning on his mic, my brother from another mother, Alfred Nasty Konuwa. Alfred, what's up, man?
What's going on, Kevin Nasty? How you doing, man?
I'm good. Heather's on too, Alfred.
Hey, Heather, how's it going? Always a pleasure to hear from you. We're Facebook friends now, aren't we?
We are Facebook friends. I'm so excited about that.
Alfred, you've been busy. It's this time of the year with WWE. There's going to be so many different stories with WrestleMania. Your hand is in a lot of them, and to get the party started, what's your interpretation of this year's WrestleMania before we start talking some matches?
I think it's been okay. I would say a little tiny bit above average, but it doesn't seem to be as much excitement for these matches. But I will say that WrestleMania pretty much always delivers, and I feel like whenever there isn't as much excitement going into WrestleMania, it over-delivers. That was the case with WrestleMania 31, where I don't think people were too excited about the card, but it ended up being one of the greatest WrestleManias. I would say like a top 5 WrestleMania for me. And I was there live, but still I think that even if I saw it from home, it would be top 5 WrestleMania. And this is what it feels like this time around, is that I think for a couple months, the rumors have been out as to what WWE might be doing, and it's kind of stuck to that. We heard about the Cena and the Miz type of mixed tag team match. We heard about it's going to be Roman Reigns, Undertaker, AJ Styles, Shane McMahon. So now that it's come together, I don't think there's too much excitement because people have been ready for this, but I really do think that these matches are going to over-deliver.
Now, of the 12 matches, I've pulled out I'm going to start with what I think are the top 5 matches. That's based, 1, my opinion, but 2, how I perceive the WWE in promoting them. And let's go on and start with the main event. Goldberg versus Lesnar. The title's up. Goldberg's title, the Universal title, is on the line. What's been your take on the build up to this? And with it being the last match on the card, are we in for a short ending, a short closure to this, to that night?
To be honest, Kevin, I do think it's going to be another short match. Maybe it's not going to be like a squash match per se, but I don't think it's going to go past 5 minutes. And, maybe they do something where Brock Lesnar squashes Goldberg. And for that reason, I really don't think WWE is going to put this on last. Like, if you watched Raw last week, they kept calling it one of the main events. I don't think WWE sold on the fact that they're going to end WrestleMania with a squash match. It's one thing when it happened at Survivor Series, and it was so shocking, and we hadn't seen it before. But I feel like, how wrestling fans are. They're going to turn on everything. And if people come from around the world and pay their money to see WrestleMania, and the last match is just a squash, I don't think it's going to be very well received. So for that reason, I think maybe they put that on right before Roman Reigns and Undertaker, because to be honest, this could be the Undertaker's last WrestleMania. But yeah, I do see Goldberg and Lesnar being quick, and I would not be surprised if it did not go on last.
Yeah, I'm with you. Heather, you being a fan, jump in, because the last time Goldberg and Lesnar fought in a pay-per-view, it was a squash. It was a minute and 26, something like that, where Goldberg goes over Lesnar. As a fan, to Alfred's point, it can't be the last match if this match is going to be pretty much quick. But as a fan, how do you react to a match like that?
Well, Al, I think the last time that we talked, I talked about the WWE having a really hard time pushing, talent over kind of a popular threshold, so to speak. It's not like the Attitude Era back in the 90s when you had Stone Cold, The Rock, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, go down the line, right? When I see guys like The Undertaker, they're going to fight, he's going to go against Roman Reigns, right? Who it seems like a majority of the WWE fans have a love-hate relationship with. And, the guy is athletic. I think he has the talent, but apparently because he's good looking, and we talked about this before, people just kind of resent him. Right. And right. And it's weird because you have guys like The Undertaker, who is a complete legend. I mean, this is my favorite all-time wrestler, but the fact that they push him to go against guys like Reigns, I mean, what does a match like that do for Reigns? Do you think it finally pushes him into the favor of a lot of WWE fans? Or do you think that it's just another match? I mean, this is a pretty big stage. So I hope that the WWE builds it into an epic match, I guess.
Well, go on to add to that before you answer. My concern is as we get in, because that was my next match on the of the 5 is Undertaker Reigns, and to your point, from what I'm hearing too, I think maybe you've reported it, this could be the Undertaker's last WrestleMania because of health reasons, his hip. But Nasty, if Reigns goes over the Undertaker, if people hate the people that were now who are borderline one way or the other with Reigns, will start hating him even more. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think there is a borderline with Reigns. I think you either love him or you hate him, and the people who hate him are going to hate him more. It's going to give him more fuel, and the people who love him are going to love him more. But I think the right decision is to have Roman Reigns go over the Undertaker. Like, here's the thing about this match. I think it's so important that Roman Reigns goes over the Undertaker because the tone of this match is whose yard is it? If you remember last year WrestleMania, It was like the deck is stacked. It was like, can Roman Reigns overcome this? It's him versus the Authority. The deck is stacked. So it wasn't really a passing the torch. The year before that, it was against Brock Lesnar. And the story was, can he survive? Like, they weren't even entertaining the fact that he could beat Brock Lesnar. They were saying, can this kid survive against Brock Lesnar, who at that point was booked as dominant as anybody else has ever been in WWE. And now this year, they're finally doing the thing where they're saying, whose yard is this? Whose time is it? And it's Roman Reigns' time. So if they have this storyline where they're asking, like, who's the leader of WWE, and this old man at the end of his career who's probably never going to wrestle again wins Roman Reigns, it's going to be detrimental to Roman Reigns. I think this, if ever there was a match that Roman Reigns had to have, it's this one.
But and I'm with you. You've got to Undertaker's really got to pass that, do the time honored thing and put Reigns over. But again, his Taker's status, legendary status, is still so over the top, and I kind of feel bad for Reigns because I anticipate him going over, but I just feel there's going to be that fan backlash on him even more because it's the Undertaker.
You're absolutely right, Kevin. But like the ratings and the viewership and stuff like that, they don't know the difference between love and hate. So all that backlash is just going to be Roman Reigns trending on Twitter, like people talking about it. And like WWE knows the score. They understand that there are people who hate Roman Reigns, and they can't be afraid of that because these people are going to continue to stick around. Like, these are the same people who stuck around last year. WrestleMania was almost 7 hours, and Roman Reigns went on last. And they stuck around, a building, like 100,000 people stuck around so they can boo Roman Reigns. Now, that's the same thing as love to me. I mean, love and hate are really, really hard to come apart.
And you know what? And honestly, you know what's interesting? I remember, when there was a time that even The Rock was kind of Roman Reigns. People didn't like him. They didn't like his character. They thought he was kind of an ass. And it's, and now Roman Reigns is kind of in the same position. And, again, look what clearly The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, has done with his career, right? He's went from the WWE to kind of the Hollywood-esque action type hero guy. And I don't know what's in the cards down the road for, Roman Reigns, but I kind of look at those two as they're in a similar, like Dwayne Johnson was in the same position. Roman Reigns now is, I'll be interested to see if Roman Reigns can make the leap that, Dwayne Johnson did in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Great point.
Is it time, Heather or Alfred, is it time to try is it time for Vince to go on and pull the trigger and turn Reigns heel? Would that make more sense?
I don't think
to go over the other
time.
Go ahead.
I think it might make more sense. And to Heather's point, because Heather brought up a tremendous point in that people were against The Rock. And the reason that people eventually sided with The Rock is because he stopped being this cheesy Rocky Maivia character and he evolved and he became The Rock. He became a bad guy and he was so popular as a bad guy that, again, he became a good guy.
Exactly.
There is a case to be made that if Roman Reigns beats The Undertaker, that's a deplorable act. It makes him heel. And, like, you can do something where Roman Reigns cheats to beat The Undertaker, which is, like, beyond the disgusting act in WWE, given how much it means for The Undertaker to compete at WrestleMania. So if you did something where Roman Reigns cheated to beat The Undertaker and was heel for a while, he maybe could build a following. But to me, it would just be flip-flop. It would be all the hardcore fans would love Roman Reigns, and all the children and the families who pay, who are very valuable to WWE would hate him. And, maybe that would pick up some evolution, but I just don't think that right now, given the fact WWE doesn't have any really top-flight baby faces right now. And I think I would be more inclined to have AJ Styles become a babyface before Roman Reigns turn heel.
Yeah, good take. Next on the topics, or next on the matches, AJ Styles, who arguably, I've been an AJ Styles fan for lots of years, but arguably is the best performer in the ring. For him to get matched up with Shane McMahon, Alfred, at first I was like, I'm thinking this is not going to do AJ justice. We're not going to get to see, him perform at the level with, if his opponent was a Seth Rollins or, to that type. But for AJ Styles to step in the ring with a McMahon and go at it from a national perspective, that's kind of front page news to, step in there with Shane, who Shane's going to just go crazy with all the, the over the top moves and stuff. So how do you see this playing out?
I honestly think this is going to be the match of the night. I think I'm with you, Kevin, in that Shane McMahon is not the greatest wrestler in the world, but he's still a pretty good athlete. Always been a better athlete than I think people give him credit for. And AJ Styles is, like you said, he's the best worker probably on the planet right now. And he's going to have a good match with AJ Styles. Like, it's not going to be that tall of a task for him to carry Shane McMahon through a match. And I think they're going to have an insane spot here and there. And I think that it's going to be a really good match. I think Shane's match with The Undertaker I wasn't a fan of it because I felt like they used a lot of bells and whistles, but I don't think they're going to need that. The bells and whistles are going to be AJ Styles just working his butt off. And I think that's going to make for a better match. And I'm actually looking forward to it. And like you said, it's a McMahon. It's not a wrestling match. It's not Shinsuke, so they're not going to have this, what people call like this all-time classic match. But it's a McMahon, raises AJ Styles' profile, and if he wins and maybe goes to Raw in the summer, I think it's going to help it out.
Good point. Heather, jump in.
Yeah, and the thing is whenever you fight a McMahon in a pay-per-view, it doesn't matter if it's WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, go down the line, right? It's always a popular match. And the thing that, I think for me as a fan that makes Shane McMahon likable is, especially now, which is weird because earlier on when he made appearances, everybody hated Shane McMahon, is the fact that, I appreciated when he fought The Undertaker. I mean, look what he did. This is a guy that isn't, and he's athletic clearly, because to get into the ring and be involved in a match like he was with The Undertaker, you have to have some athletic ability. But the guy is willing to put his body on the line for the business, and he's willing to go out and kind of, I guess, just show out. And I think this is what could be good for AJ Styles is you're going to face a guy that not only is going to show out for the company, but he's going to do everything he can, because to me at this point, it kind of feels like the WWE is very invested in AJ Styles, and you can go back from his popularity, before he got to the WWE and what he's done now, but they will do everything they can to push him over. And if that means fighting Shane McMahon, who is going to give you at least an entertaining match, then that's what's going to happen. And you know what? AJ Styles should be grateful for that, and he should be happy with that, because there, to me, is a faction of the fan base in the WWE that is still a little bit like, what is this guy about? I mean, we respect him, but I don't know. Does he have that star capability? And I think this is a match that could help him get to that star capability.
That's a good point, Heather, because for the diehard WWE universe, they're probably those that do not think wrestling exists out of WWE, but to most of us who follow wrestling, AJ Styles has been a commodity for many years. Let's stay with AJ here, Alfred. Is it safe to say Vince has either admitted to himself or to his core circle that he messed up in not getting AJ Styles in sooner than now?
I don't think this is him saying they messed up. I think WWE has evolved their stance because, Vince McMahon made hundreds of dollars without AJ Styles. So, if anything, this is more a bucket list thing for AJ Styles to compete at WrestleMania than it is for Vince and WWE to need guys like this. But it's been kind of refreshing to see. But over the years, WWE, because I remember WWE would never acknowledge that there was anybody from the outside. They would never let anybody use their name when they were competing on the Indies. But they have evolved to where, and it's really around the time where Triple H kind of got more power and created NXT. Right. Joe and AJ Styles are coming in as who they were. Shinsuke Nakamura is a good example. So it's just more of WWE, I think, growing up a little bit. I don't think they're saying that they made a mistake in the past. I think they're in a point now where the internet is so prevalent that now they know that they can ignore these past characters.
They are evolving with the times. And, you mentioned Samoa Joe, you got AJ Styles, Bobby Roode, Austin Eric. These just a couple guys that, were TNA guys that's come in with their character still 100%, them. They haven't done anything to really tweak it. But props to I'm with you. I think props to Triple H for helping that avenue of entities outside of WWE get recognition too. So the next one, you really can't have a pay-per-view without John Cena. Like him or not, still think John is the face of the WWE. That's my opinion. And I actually have a lot of respect for him. But I'm not exactly, these gimmick matches, Alfred, in this case, married couple versus married couple. Although The Miz has been killing it, I would just rather see Cena versus Miz, not the mixed tag match. Yeah. Go ahead, Alfred.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I think a lot of people are looking at this like a step down for Cena, but and it's just not, especially when I heard it at first on paper, just because it's so adjacent to Total Divas and this reality show kind of cheap television that John Cena has been associated with. I just don't like the fact that they're marrying that with WrestleMania, but I understand it from a business standpoint. I mean, WWE has made some pretty good money off of its reality television. It's been a success with Total Divas and Total Bellas, and they're taking it to YouTube. So WWE is just kind of trying to raise the profile of its reality television component, and John Cena's being roped into it. But John Cena's at a point in his career where he doesn't have anything to prove, and him and Nikki are very much in love. And I'm sure that he's glad to be doing something with, his longtime girlfriend, as is Miz glad to be doing something with Maurice. Because this time last year, the Miz was like an afterthought in a ladder match. And now he's in a high-profile match with John Cena, and I think it does reflect on how good of a year he's had. And I do think he's been the best part of this. Even everything he's done has been like legitimately funny or really into his character in terms of fighting and mean-spirited. And there are elements of this feud that seem real. And I think that's always best when they kind of walk that line without seeming like a shoot.
I agree.
So,
it's
been really good.
I totally agree.
I think that's going to overachieve.
Heather, your take when it comes to sprinkling a little bit of diva in these matches, kind of like what I'm doing tonight, sprinkling some Heather diva into this.
No, honestly, Alfred is right. The Miz at this point last year was kind of an afterthought when it came to a lot of pay-per-views and where he was, as far as in the WWE infrastructure. And at this point, he's getting introduced into kind of a storyline or a match where he could potentially, I don't know that he's going to be a star per se, but he's going to get himself at least to the middle part of the card, which is always good to be, because at that point, if you're in the middle, you still have a chance to go up, right? And I think the guy, again, is athletic and he's entertaining. I mean, honestly, he will keep it interesting. I mean, he's good at the dialogue part. He's good. He's athletic. I mean, he has potential. It's not like the guy is just going to go by the wayside. And, at the end of the day, again, when it comes to the WWE and the divas and the reality show, Al's right. I mean, the WWE with their network, not only have they been able to capitalize on exposing people to kind of behind the scenes when it comes to WWE, but they've been able to do like these reality shows, like you look at McFoley's and the Total Divas and just kind of everything that goes on. And the good news is, especially with the Total Divas, is it gives the WWE an outlet to kind of expand on the women's role in the league and in the WWE rather, but and at times the WWE has had a problem doing that. I think now that you talk about like girls like Lita and I gosh, who am I forgetting? Going down,
Trish Stratus.
Yeah, I mean, all these athletic girls, if they can continue, if they can take their reality show and bring it into their programming, I mean, good at least for the women's role. And I think that's what they're still trying to do. They're still trying to kind of evolve that part of the league. And I mean, the good thing is that, the WWE to me is unique, right? So you have not only men or young men that pay attention, but I think there's a lot of women, believe it or not. There's an untapped market that for a long time, the WWE has had a hard time kind of tapping into. I think they're being, in one area, they're being a little bit better about that. And I think this is one way to go about it.
To shift myself into the DX mode, Heather and Alfred, I would gladly like to tap that market. I thank you. All right.
I'm sure you would.
All right. My next or last of the five that I've got, to me, Alfred, Orton versus Wyatt. Anytime you quote unquote burn someone's house down, that's kind of over the top. But how do you have they done their part to generate the interest in this match?
Absolutely not. I think this has been one of the worst book feuds of the year. I think we're going to look back on this year and look at it like, wow, that was horrible. And the sad thing is that they're going to have a good match. I've been excited for the potential of Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton for a while now. And I just thought the way you do this feud is that, everybody knew that eventually Randy was going to turn. And all he needs to do is just an RKO out of nowhere. That's what's so great about the RKO. It could come out of nowhere, so we never knew when it was going to come. But instead of just kind of teasing it and then finally it builds to a huge RKO where everybody goes crazy, they did this overdrawn, I'm going to burn your house down. And they did that to start the feud. You usually, if you're going to burn a guy's house down, you're going to kind of want to build up to that. But that's how they started it. It's crazy, I'm going to burn your house down. And from then on, AJ Styles had a promo where he said, this guy's burning people's house down, he's getting rewarded for it. And it's just I don't know if they did this on purpose, but it pointed out how ridiculous the storyline was.
Exactly.
In what world can you go to work in a guy's house and get rewarded for it?
That'd be cool.
It's I don't like all the hocus pocus stuff, and I have not been in touch with this since that angle.
Yeah, Heather, wouldn't it be cool if you went into work the next morning and your boss goes, "Oh, you torched the competition's house down last night. You get a raise."
No. You know what? Honestly, I always felt like the WWE missed an opportunity with Bray Wyatt. The WWE has always done a really good job. If you go back to even Mick Foley and my boy, The Undertaker, of capitalizing on weird, crazy ass guys who not only have athletic potential, but are willing to put their body on the line and find a way to be popular with the crowd. I always kind of felt like Bray Wyatt could have been that guy. And now they get him, involved in a storyline where we're burning houses down. And it's just kind of childish to me a little bit. It's kind of dumb and it's far reaching. It's dumb. And, I hope eventually the WWE will take in the fact that this guy has a presence about him. It's very, very rare that you get a guy in wrestling who has a presence about him. I feel like he kind of has that. And I hope that the WWE kind of finds a way to utilize that in the end.
I know, Alfred, I got you on, or I got to get ready to let you go. But surprises, what do you anticipate? What and or who do you anticipate as a surprise?
Oh, that's a great question. I could see Finn Balor make an appearance at WrestleMania, maybe in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Maybe even, especially if it doesn't go on last, maybe after the Brock Lesnar Goldberg match, and that's a good way to kind of combat people going nuts, in a bad way about it being so quick, is that you do a quick squash, and Brock Lesnar celebrates, and out comes Finn Balor, and, points to the title, and now you got your next feud. I think that'd be fun. I could see sometime during WrestleMania weekend, the Hardys showing up. I think that would be an incredible moment. I don't know if they'd be the Broken Hardys, but, WWE likes its nostalgia, so I think the Hardys and Finn Balor are two surprises that I could see happening.
No Kurt Angle. He's being inducted. Saturday night? Yeah,
to come out. Yeah, they usually, with the Hall of Fame, they don't involve their Hall of Famers in storylines. I can't remember one time since they started taking the Hall of Fame seriously again where the Hall of Famer, so there's been Ric Flair had a match the night after, and then Ricky Steamboat had a match, but that was already announced. Who knows? Kurt's going to come out for his curtain call, and people are going to cheer him, but I don't see where he would fit in terms of WrestleMania, just coming out and do something. But, I could be wrong.
We got who else? You mentioned the Hardys, which there's, I think the time is right to make that happen. I would like to see the whole broken, Hardy gimmick to make it to WWE. Let's see. Rock, is The Rock scheduled? Do we anticipate seeing The Rock?
That's a great question. He's not. As of right now, there's been no word of The Rock. The Rock did tweet or put on Instagram that he wants to make it out there. It's in Florida, which is his home state. And, I could see The Rock. He's made the last 6 WrestleManias, and it's kind of become a tradition. So, it would be just ridiculous that if WWE didn't at least promote The Rock being there, because he does make a difference. If people know The Rock's going to be there, they're going to tune in. So I wouldn't agree with WWE booking The Rock as a surprise. I just think that's ridiculous. Just advertising,
Yeah. I threw 5 of the 12. I threw 5 at you. Is there one match that we didn't talk about that you think could surprise us?
I think the women are going to do a great job. I'm not a fan of these group matches, but I think on the Raw side, at least, the Fatal 4-Way, I think they're going to have it mapped out because I'll tell you, last year in the building, when I was watching live, that women's match was the most well-received match of the night. It's so good.
Oh.
And it was like as perfect as you can book a triple threat match. I thought it was very good. And I think they're going to kind of do the same thing this year, especially with the addition of Bayley and Nia Jax, who I think is underrated, and I think she's going to play a part in this four-way. I think the women's championship Raw match, I'm actually looking forward to it a lot and thinking it's going to be one of the matches of the night.
All right, very cool. All right, Alfred, before we let you go, give us all the social media contacts for you.
Oh, follow me on Twitter at This Is Nasty. You can be like Heather and be Facebook friends with me. On Facebook, Alfred B. Konuwa. And, I'll be at Wrestlemania. So get on me. I'll be in Florida. Anybody who's going to be in Orlando, come hang out. I'll be at Access. I'll be at the Hall of Fame. I'll be at Wrestlemania. I'm going to do all that kind of stuff. I'll try to fit in some indie shows. But, just hit me up on Twitter, and hopefully I can see a lot of you. Because it's always a fun time to meet.
Again, Alfred Konuwa, Bleacher Report, Forbes.com. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, my brother. Good stuff.
All right, you guys are the greatest, both of you.
Right.
Let's do this more often. We can do this after Raw, too. WrestleMania after Raw.
Let's do it.
I would love to.
All right, bro. All right, I'll be in touch, man. Thanks. Take care.
All right, definitely.
Alfred Konuwa, again, Bleacher Report, Forbes.com, columnist. Always fun talking. You and I are wrestling fans, Heather. We've been wrestling fans for the longest time. So whenever we can fit, a topic like this into the show, I'm all for it. So. He's been on hold. I'm turning on his mic as we're moving on to the next segment. Josh, I know you've been on hold. I just didn't want to kind of take away from Alfred's thunder for his segment. I want to give him his time, but thanks for holding. What's up, brother?
No problem, man. What's going on, guys? How are you?
Good. Heather, you mentioned Shane. You said something like Shane would he would do what for the business? He would
He puts his body on the line for the business.
There you go. Now the question I ask you, would you put your body on the line for the Shooting from the Lip show?
Maybe. I have 3 kids, though. It's not what it used to be,
But you know what? You did not say the word no, so I'll take maybe.
Well, all right.
I mean, if Heather's going to do that, I guess I'll take the fall off the top of the cage like Mick Foley did.
You will take it. All right. You'll deliver, you receive. We'll set that up. All right. Let's talk some topics, round of sports shots. Let's start with our Cats. Nice little run. We get to the Elite Eight. It's the ending today was not what we wanted as Cats fans, but Heather, this 2016-17 season, a successful season?
Oh, I think it was. I mean, just where, the team was, even in December when they played North Carolina and then in January when they played Kansas, they have made so much improvement in my books, especially on the defensive end. And just how they were a little bit more efficient, especially when it came to a half-court offset, as far as offense. I'll have to be honest with you. I was not expecting them, and I'm going to take flack for this, and this is fine. I wasn't expecting them to get past today. I saw their draw. I saw what they were up against, and, I was very confident Friday against UCLA because I kind of felt like, Kentucky had better matchup, better personnel. I just felt like they would win Friday. Today worried me a little bit. I know in the first half, especially, I think it kind of evened out toward the end. UNC's big guys, especially in the paint, they scored a lot of points. I think the difference at the end of the game was probably 4, maybe 6, I don't know. I thought another difference in the game, especially today, was that Derek Willis didn't hit outside shots like he normally does. Now, in the arc, I think he was like 3 for 3 or 4 for 4. It was something crazy. And then obviously Isaac Humphries had a good game too, but they went cold at the wrong time. I wasn't as confident as I was Friday going into today. I think it was successful. I think that, again, Calipari took a team that, had a lot of young guys. They did improve throughout the season, and you cannot tell me they didn't improve throughout the season. So, I'm fine with them losing today. I think UNC has a tough matchup in Oregon, believe it or not, because Oregon has guys that are going to bang around with them on the inside. So, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. I wasn't as sad as I thought, as I was when they lost to Wisconsin a couple of years ago.
Jump in, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, there are going to be people who say it wasn't a successful season because there are those part of the fan base that think it's championship or bust, and that's where we're at with some of the fans now. Now those fans, they're wrong. I mean, in my opinion, like Heather said, I honestly didn't expect them to get past North Carolina. I think it would have been, it would have been nice, and it was going to be a dogfight. But the way the seed, the way we the bracket that we had to go through a gauntlet just to get there. And it would have been nice to win, but I mean, you find me another team that would have had to beat a teams like Wichita State, UCLA, and North Carolina just to make the Final Four. There was nobody else in the tournament that had to do that. So, to me, a season isn't judged on whether or not you win the title or whether or not Final Fours are nice and all that. And honestly, I think if we would have made the Final Four, we probably would have won the title because you look at those other teams and you're thinking, we could probably beat those teams. I mean, especially, the hardest game left is going to be Oregon. Those other two teams, I mean, Gonzaga's had a hell of a year, and they're a 1 seed, but they haven't done enough to really have me sold on them yet. So, from that standpoint, it sucks. If we would have won today, I would have just basically said, we're probably going to win. But we didn't, and that's how it is. But that's because of the gauntlet that we had to go through to get there. I mean, you can't judge a season on whether or not you win a title. I mean, you look at where those guys were, like a month and a half ago. We were wondering if they were going to be like a one and done in the tournament. And the resolve that they've shown and the defense and the improvements that they've made, I think you have to look at it and say, we had a hell of a run, and it was a great season. And honestly, I saw some of the video footage at the end of the game, and after in the locker room at the end, and you got De'Aaron Fox crying and Bam crying, and those two guys hugging on each other. I mean, I get so sick of these guys that say, "Oh, these players don't care," and this and that. I mean, good God, that broke my heart to see some of those guys out there.
It is, and a lot of the haters will always point out, "Oh, these guys are on campus for 6 or 9 months or whatever. They don't give a shit." And no, that goes to tell you about the character of the kids that Cal recruits. Now, some of them are jetting out of Lexington, when Adam Silver, the NBA, calls their name. Yeah, that's how it is. But these kids, more times than not, come back to the school, still promote the school. You saw a lot of the past players, on Twitter, social media, giving their shout outs. So I'm with you guys. I think that it's a success. Yes. The team, for our conversation, the team gets a thumbs up. But to I guess one of you made the point. I guess Josh, there is that hardcore fan base that throws out that little, "Oh, here we go again. He gets the best recruiting classes every year, and we can't win a championship." Blah blah blah. It's not really that fucking easy to do this. And as you point out, Josh, we had the toughest region. Go back to, what was it, the several years ago when we lost to, it was like we lost to UConn in the Final Four game. Who was it? They went on to beat Butler, which was a very ugly game. But if we beat UConn, we definitely beat Butler. Too. Yeah. So how many scenarios has it played out for us during Cal's time where we lose to the eventual champion? So I don't know. I'm not trying to.
Well, I mean, the thing about the tournament is it's a 1-game scenario. It's not a best of 5. It's not a best of 7. The best team usually doesn't win. So I mean, to judge anything by a title or bust mentality is just flat out wrong, because you're not going to have your best game every single time. And rightly or wrongly, I mean, you can say that, well, you have to come to play every day. Well, I mean, sometimes it just doesn't show up that way. I mean, and honestly, tonight, we deserve to lose. You can't give up a 12-0 run with, 2 minutes to go in the game and expect to win. At some point, you gotta hold them accountable for that. But that doesn't mean that the season is a failure.
And, in fairness too, Heather, this game today was not one of the more prettier games ever played. Now, it was exciting the way it ended. That people were bitching about the referee calls in the first half. Arguably so. It looked like we were not getting the calls. But we had our chances a lot to just, it's like we were, always a one play away from putting it away, and we couldn't get it done.
Yeah, and I want to put a stop to the people that say Calipari was outcoached. And there are times, even look, I questioned what Calipari was doing as far as personnel and play calling, but I don't think he was outcoached today. I just think guys literally didn't make plays. I mean, if you go back and look at the totality of the SEC tournament, and even so far in this tournament, you had guys who stepped up at the right time and made big plays. And I'm talking about not just your bench guys, but your marquee guys like De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk and Bam. Yes, Bam today came on in the second half, but Monk, not really until the end did he hit a couple of big threes. And, you can't have your big players or your players that honestly, I don't care if they're freshmen or they're seniors, that have been your marquee go-to players the entire season not show up. That's kind of what happened in the first half. I felt like that hurt Kentucky. And by the way, we had every starter but one and Isaiah Briscoe on the bench for the last 7 minutes, 8 minutes?
The first half.
Of the first half. Again, Calipari, people want to say, well, Calipari should have done this or he should have done that. He was limited. Look, he can only do so. He can tell a player, and this is what I don't think people understand about when it comes to coaching, right? And we're all armchair quarterbacks. Everybody's guilty of it. You can tell a player not to do something where they need to do something, but it's up to them at the end of the day to do it. And you know what? We don't know what's said on the sideline. We don't know what Calipari has done. And I didn't see any glaring kind of, errors, and especially when it, came to personnel or when it came to plays that Calipari made. It's just that guys just didn't make the plays that they normally do. So, and I would even argue, by the way, that this team was one of his better coaching jobs, right? Because like Josh said, there was a time in December when we were all like, they're going to be one and done in the tournament. And now all of a sudden, they make it to the Elite Eight and have the hardest road to get there. So, you know what? Again, this is why I don't think the season was a failure. And, and for the fraction of the fan base that says it's championship or bust, this is why Kentucky, this is why people hate Kentucky fans. You know what? I asked those guys, to appreciate the game a little bit better, appreciate the effort, and just let's hope that next year things mesh like they did, in 2012 when he won the championship, and that we're able to, get all the way to the title game and win. And it's just, it is what it is. March is a crapshoot. It happens. And I don't feel, we only lost by 2. Honestly, I felt like we should have lost more than that. So I don't know what everybody's all, I'm saying we lost, it sucks, but it's not like we were terrible. I don't get it. I don't know.
Anybody that wants to question Calipari's coaching, sorry, I had to jump in there. Anybody wants to question Calipari's coaching and his decision-making, look at fucking what Isaac Humphries and Hawkins did tonight. Hawkins carried the team for the first half in a little bit of the stretch there. And Humphries played his ass off, and he hasn't done shit the rest of the year. Like, he put those guys in that position. He tried Winion for a little bit. Winion couldn't do it. He swapped him out, and he put Humphries back in. He tried to give guys opportunities and try to make them play. Like, he put in Mulder for a little bit. Mulder wasn't really doing much, so he put Hawkins back in. Like, he gave those guys the opportunity. So that, to me, that's coaching. Like, you can say what you want. That's coaching. So, those people to me are just right. They just don't like the one and done system. And there are those types of fans that don't like the one and done. And anything less than that, they say, well, look at all the talent that he's got and he's not winning championships. Yeah. But if that's your decision, then, so you're going to tell us that only 8 out of the entire history of Kentucky basketball has been a success. Sorry, I don't believe that.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Let's keep going. Last thing on the Final Four, I gotta ask this question. Just you guys give me a quick response. Where in the fuck did South Carolina come from?
That's a good question.
It is a great story for them. Much props to them. Good God. They have looked amazing.
Yeah, they have. And, honestly, their matchup with Gonzaga, I think they have guys who can, even watching the game today against Florida, South Carolina pressures the ball. And so it's not like Gonzaga is going to outrun them, right? I also think they have guys that can, kind of bang inside with, who is the big guy's name with Gonzaga? I cannot pronounce his name. It starts with a K. Anybody with the beard,
I
back
don't know
on.
how to pronounce it. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so
Carnegie,
I mean,
think it is, right?
yeah, so I think South Carolina has guys who can be aggressive with him. They have one that has a hard time staying out of foul trouble sometime, but they have one that doesn't. But I like the fact that South Carolina can pressure the ball. I don't think Gonzaga is going to hit as many outside shots against, South Carolina as they did in their Elite Eight matchup. So, I think that game will be really, really interesting. I don't think it's a gimme for Gonzaga, but, on the flip side, South Carolina, again, continue to pressure the ball. They have to continue to hit the glass hard. They got to be able to go inside and make shots, and they're going to have to make outside shots too. So, I don't know. It's intriguing to me. I'll be interested to see what they can do.
Finish it up, Josh. So.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'll tell you where they come from is Frank Martin. And you look at that guy and his demeanor and his intensity, that team represents that.
Yeah.
And that's why they beat Duke. Duke is a team that if you get up in their face and you punch them first, they'll back down. And that's exactly what happened in that game.
That's a good point.
Baylor could not handle South Carolina's intensity. Same thing with Florida today. I think they out-rebounded Florida by like 15 or something. I mean, they do not back down, and they are a team that just gets up in your face and says, let's go. Who's tougher? Who wants it more? And right now, it's been them.
Right. Now, I gotta ask this one last question, and we'll do a show. I know we'll do a show next Sunday before the final game. But what will it do to the NCAA men's mindset, the whole fan base of college men's basketball, if someone like South Carolina, if they win the title? And right now, I mean, I could see it happening. Well, who's to say it couldn't? I mean, you're going to have a lot of butthurt media people because, one of those darling, in this case, probably the ACC, all their, the favorites that they're picking. But I think it's kind of cool that, that South Carolina is, 2 wins from really causing chaos in the college men's basketball.
Kevin, real quick, not only would it, kind of turn all the pundits on their head, but think of what it would do for SEC basketball. We have spent much of this season talking about how it's down, and media has too, but even fans have too. And now all of a sudden, we have 3 out of the 8 teams in the Elite Eight were SEC teams. And if you have a team like South Carolina, who, I mean, not only would that help, Martin with recruiting, but it would help the SEC in general. It's definitely not a negative. I mean, to me, it's a positive. So, I always love to see pundits wrong. And I would love for South Carolina to pull something out and not only beat Gonzaga, but I think potentially a North Carolina team as well.
Josh, your last comments on that?
I mean, I completely kind of agree. I mean, it would just
wait a minute.
Anything
I completely kind of agree. Isn't that kind of an oxymoron?
Yeah, kind of, sort of, but not. Hey, I've been drinking a little bit, so let's not judge me here. Okay?
Nice. All right, no judging.
I mean, so anything that kind of turns college basketball up on its head and pisses off media, I'm all for it.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Anything like if Gonzaga wins, it's going to be the great story about, we've been telling you all along they were a good team. Mm-hmm. If North Carolina wins, it's like, wow, look at this power that's been there. If Oregon wins, it's like, well, look what they did after losing their big man. They battled back. They're such a good team. We took Pac-12 was awesome. But if South Carolina wins, they've got nothing to fucking say. And it's like, that would be just amazing to me to just hear everybody just be like, well, we kind of dogged on the SEC all year. We told them they were garbage. And, I guess South Carolina just kind of bullied their way to the championship. They wouldn't be able to say anything. And to me, that would just be awesome because I can't stand half the time when the media tries to tell you what is great about college basketball and they're totally wrong.
Yeah, this is where my Monday night co-host Russ has said that, if South Carolina does win it all, it's the equivalent of shoving cock down the media's throats for, the entire year.
That's a good analogy. Nice. I like that.
Yes, nice.
Everybody likes the cock.
Everybody likes.
I'm sorry.
That's another great soundbite, Heather.
Speaking of cock,
let's move.
Can we talk about Wendy Gabriel
real quick? I don't know. What was that? What?
Have you not seen this picture that was floating around the internet?
Hey, Kevin, he's sliding deep.
No.
I'm going to leave it at that.
I have not seen
it.
My man is blessed. Let's just call it that.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen that, but it doesn't mean I'm gay if I look.
If he's a grower and a shower, somebody is in trouble. Somebody's going to need surgery on their stomach.
On their stomach. He's going to be able to get a heartbeat when he does it. All right.
Right.
Move on. We talked about we talked about how Cal for the true hardcore BBN fan base will hear it because we didn't get it done, blah blah blah. It is safe to say when it comes to blue bloods, there is one coach that is taking a lot more grief than Cal, and that's Bill Self. Once again, Kansas, a top seed, they were playing great, but they fall short again. Heather, if you're a Kansas fan, is this same old?
Well, I mean, yes, yeah, it is, because traditionally Kansas kind of chokes in the big moment. But apparently, this year, not only do they choke in the big moments, they have extracurricular activities going on off of the court. And I think all of that was a bit of distraction. I think the fact that, I think we're going to see more come down about what happened with Kansas off the court and some of their players this year eventually. Whether the NCAA does anything about it, I don't know. I digress. I mean, they should have done something about Louisville and UNC in the fake classes, but they haven't. So, I think, kind of like LeVar Ball being a distraction for his son and UCLA, I think the off-court stuff was a bit of distraction for them. And Bill Self, again, he cannot coach in the big moment. He never can. And you have to, if you're a Kansas fan, I would be, more so questioning him than I would Calipari. What do we have to do? The guy has had a lot of talent. You want to talk about a coach that's had a lot of talent come through their program and haven't done, anything, or hasn't, consistently won titles?
He's in the same category league as, it's Self, Calipari, and Coach K. Arguably every year, those guys are getting the top players. Self isn't. Self-inflicted wounds. I don't know, whatever you want to. No pun intended. Well, yeah, pun intended. But Josh, finish that up. Yeah, your quick
first
take
off,
on Self.
Can I just say, Kansas is one of the teams that I hate probably worse than anybody else. They are maybe above Louisville to me, and that's saying something. But so the fact that Bill Self continuously just chokes in the tournament, it's awesome to me. And he always gets a pass. All this shit that's gone on this year with them about they had a rape in their dorm, in the basketball player's dorm, and somehow that doesn't get coverage all over the place. Can you imagine if that happened at Kentucky? That would be everywhere. And that just tells me that the media loves Bill Self. The shit with Josh Jackson, he kicked a taillight out of a girl's car and says he's going to beat her and choke her and all whatever else he allegedly said. I got to throw in allegedly with quotations because, it's still not official, but I'm going with that probably happened. And somehow he's still playing and those guys just keep going on. And this stuff happens all the time. And somehow it's just okay, whatever. So when they lose, I just love it. But the fact that he does, he gets just as much talent as Cal and as Krzyzewski and as these other coaches, and he is the first one to lose almost every year. Those couple years where they had a run where we beat them, they played Louisville and all that. I think that bought him some time and bought him some good graces. But at some point, shouldn't the same questions that are coming up around us in our fan base that are the diehards, shouldn't those same questions be asked about Kansas? But you never hear it.
Good point. No, you're right. And from their local media, their fan base, Kansas basketball, is the same as Kentucky. Ours is on a probably, or not probably, is on a bigger audience across the globe, but it's basketball or nothing. We know the football program sucks, but I'm thinking Self is not feeling the love from his people. But who is feeling the love right now, next topic, is Coach Cal and Coach Stoops. Each received contract extensions, 2 additional years for what it's worth. 2 more years of Cal, which if I saw the article right, guys, means Cal is locked up till 2024. Stoops will take him through 2022. Heather, your take on the commitment that Mitch and the school is given to our coaches?
Well, I think it's good, especially on the football side. I think what Coach Stoops is doing, with the Kentucky football program, look, when he first came to Kentucky, I think it was in 2012, I talked about his ties in Ohio State. I talked about it on Twitter anyway at the time, but his ties in the state of Ohio and how I felt like his staff was going to have the ability to kind of recruit in their own backyard, which is Cincinnati. And he has done that to a certain extent, but he's also went, beyond Cincinnati and recruited kids in like the Youngstown area. I mean, some of kind of like these football hotbeds. And by the way, I don't think people realize the state of Ohio itself at one point had the 5th most active NFL players, meaning they played high school ball in Ohio and are now playing in the NFL. So to me, again, this is a state that's not far from Lexington. I think not only has he done well, but he's added guys like Eddie Grand who can recruit in the South, and they're starting to do that a little bit. So, and clearly we saw what they did last year, right? Yes, at the beginning of the season, we thought they weren't going to go to a bowl game. They end up in the Taxpayer Bowl. Yes, they lost to Georgia Tech, but it was much, much better than what we thought was going to happen and where the program has been. They're going to have an even better team next year. And I love the fact that, the university and Mitch Barnhart, they're willing to invest into a guy who not only believes he can build something here, but is building something here. And as far as Calipari goes, I honestly believe he won't leave Kentucky because it's probably, or it is, the best job in college basketball, even though it's high pressure and a little bit stressful. He's not going to leave here unless he's coaching like LeBron and Kevin Durant. I mean, if he's got a team of all-stars where he doesn't have to build, kind of a franchise in the NBA, he might leave. But at that point, right now, I don't think that opportunity has kind of presented itself. So I suspect that Calipari is going to be here until he's done. And I'm fine with that. And, he is the best when it comes to recruiting top talent out of high school, which is what a Division I college coach's job is. And, I'm fine with what Kentucky is doing. I think it's great that they're making an investment in their coaches and they're trying to tie them to the university to continue to build on what they're doing now.
Josh.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Cal extension to me, that's just a formality. He's here as long as he wants to be here. I think his contract, those numbers, he's got basically a no buyout. He can pretty much leave whenever he wants, and I think that's the case. Don't hold me to that. But if anything, he's just getting a little bit more. I think it just shows the commitment. It helps with recruiting and all that. Now the Stoops one, to me, that's a bigger story, just because it shows, like Heather said, it shows the commitment to what he's building here. And now it does come with like a buyout. If he leaves, so that they owe, they owe Kentucky, whoever picks him up, or him would owe Kentucky. I think it was a pretty substantial amount, if what I remember correctly. I can't remember exactly what the figure was, but it was decent. And Stoops' contract, it had more incentives for, graduating players, but then it also had the win incentives. And to him, that's what's going to get him paid. And if they keep winning like that, that's a big deal. If anything, I think the extension for him, it just keeps him here longer, and it shows them that if you are here, we're going to pay you, and you don't have to worry about jumping ship at the first opportunity that you get. One of the things I think that sticks out to me, they extended Eddie Grand, several months ago. They extended his contract. Right. I think I also read somewhere last week that they extended Vince Marrow's contract. That's what I like to see from the football standpoint, is that not only are they investing in Stoops, but they're also investing in the assistants and trying to keep them here because those are the guys that are going to, sink or swim with this program. Stoops is kind of, he's the head coach. He gets the notoriety and he gets the blame and he takes a lot of the heat. But, Mero, Eddie Grant, those are the guys that are kind of really, to me, they're the foundation of the program, and they're going to be what causes us to have success or causes us to fail.
Good point. Good take. Northern border of Kentucky, Indiana, IU found their guy, Archie Miller from Dayton. Depending on who you talk to, the Indiana faithful, a lot of the Indiana faithful wanted their golden boy, Steve Alford, to come back and take over the reins of the program. But from all indications, Fred Glass, their AD, Mr. Glass, is not a big Steve Alford fan. From what I'm hearing, conversations never came up with Alford. Archie Miller, thumbs up, thumbs down, Heather?
I think Archie Miller will do well there. And it was long rumored that if Cal were to ever leave Kentucky, Archie Miller, Greg Marshall, who thank God, I think he crossed his name off the list too, because I can't deal with his crazy ass wife. They may be replacements if Cal were to ever leave Kentucky. And, I was a little surprised that Archie Miller was hired as quickly. I thought Indiana would take a look at Alford because I think there was at least interest in Alford's side or, within his camp of maybe coming to Indiana, obviously. But, again, at the end of the day, I think it's a good hire for Indiana. He won't be successful right away, but he will be successful eventually. Indiana fans are going to have to be patient, though, because you've had years of Tom Crean, which has been pretty much, mediocrity beyond what they did in 2012 when they ran into Kentucky in the Sweet 16. So, I think there's potential for Archie Miller there. I think he's a really good coach, honestly. But, again, it's how patient can Indiana be? They used to be a blue blood program. They're not so much anymore. I don't know. I get the feeling, I have a really good friend, actually, who's an Indiana fan. She was kind of like, meh, whatever. It's not a bad hire, but I'm not like completely like go fly my IU flag tomorrow. So I don't know. I think he's good. It might be like a Mick Cronin situation a little bit. When he first went to UC, a lot of people didn't like him. They didn't think he made progress, fast enough. Now they like Mick Cronin at UC. It could be a similar situation at IU, but the difference between IU and UC is IU, again, I think they want to get to that blue chip level that they used to be. I don't know if he'll do it right away, but it'll happen eventually with him.
Mm-hmm. Josh, your take?
So I take a little bit of a different path than Heather on this one. I think Archie Miller's going to kill it at Indiana. And let me tell you why. So he took
Tell
Dayton,
us why.
who, Dayton is a middle of the pack. I don't even know if they're in the A-10 now. Who fucking knows? They change conferences every other week, it seems like. But so he took Dayton, and he averaged 24 wins, and he took Dayton to the Elite Eight in 2014. Steve Alford has never been past the Sweet 16 in 22 years as a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So as many years as he's been coaching, he had some success at New Mexico, and he had, all the success he's had. He's never been past the Sweet 16. Archie Miller did it at Dayton.
Yeah.
So Archie Miller, his brother Sean is the head coach at Arizona, who took a very similar program. His coaching pedigree, he earned his, kind of got his teeth at Xavier, which is a similar program to kind of Dayton. He had success at he had success at Xavier, took on to Arizona, and basically immediately brought them back to kind of where Arizona is Arizona now. They haven't made a Final Four yet, and they haven't, had the huge success that Arizona was maybe used to, but they're in contention every year. They're still one of the elite teams out in the West. I think Archie Miller can have that same kind of success at Indiana. You give him the resources that Indiana has. You give him Assembly Hall and that student, that fan base, the students that are, rowdy as hell. We don't want to go back there. And we see what he's done. I think he can have the same kind of impact that his brother has had at Arizona and bring them back to where they're at least in the conversation every year. I'm not saying they're going to win title after title. I don't think it's that kind of home run hire. But I do think of the names that were batted around for that job, I think it's the best possible fit that Indiana could have hired. I don't think Greg Marshall would have had any more success than Archie Miller will, than Archie Miller will. I definitely don't think Steve Alford would have. I think Steve Alford's kind of caught lightning in a bottle with these ball kids. And if he would have left and gone to Indiana, they weren't coming with him. And, why would he turn that down when he hasn't done shit at UCLA? I mean, yeah, they were good this year. But, again, if you don't make past the Sweet 16, I mean, how great of a coach can you really be?
Yeah, and I touched on this.
I think Archie.
Yeah, I touched on this.
A good,
when it comes to Alfred, I touched on this the other night with a guest at IU. When he wakes up in Bloomington and looks out the window, he's not going to see palm trees.
Nope.
Man,
and just the pressure that he would have. I mean, the thing with that is if you're a hometown guy, I mean, can you imagine the expectations that he would have had to walking in those doors based on, oh, look what he's doing at UCLA and doing this? He would never live up to him. And I mean, you can draw the comparisons, like take that to Cal. Like, well, can Cal really live up to his expectations? But and yes, the Indiana fans are delusional. They are not the program that they think they are. There's a lot of schools that can say that. And their fans,
soccer program is.
Oh, yeah, their men's soccer program was the shit. At least it was back when I was in school. They were really good. But, I don't know. Maybe Pat Forty or somebody can tell us about their swimming program. I don't know. But
oh yeah, he's been on a roll.
I mean, it's just, they're not where they think they are. But I think they can get back to being that top, 15, 10 program. I mean, that's where they should be. And Crean, I think, was sniffing that, but he just couldn't get over that hump. And I honestly think if Crean had another year or two, like, they would have been good. But so the cupboard isn't completely bare of what Archie's walking into. And I do think that he is going to have success there.
Keeping the flow going, we got a few more topics before I know Heather starts sniffing the Kevin, I gotta go to bed, I gotta get up early, line at me.
The perils of having an early office job.
No, yeah, same here. Real quick, let's make these quick comments. I'm going to go through a few. NCAA threatens to keep events out of North Carolina unless HB2 is repealed. Heather, you being the conservative that you are and the pro-Trump fan, what's your take on that? That the NCAA pulls
Kevin,
that card.
Hold up. I am not pro-Trump.
Okay.
I may tend to be on the conservative side, but as your boy in LA once said, I sound very libertarian, although I am not here for the handwriting. I'm so bitter that he said that. But anyway, no, I mean, I tend to be fiscally conservative, socially liberal. When it comes to the NCAA not wanting to hold events in the state of North Carolina because of House Bill 2, there was a guy tonight, as a matter of fact, on Twitter that, said something about, oh, it's okay, Kentucky, you'll have the Creation Museum. And I quoted his tweet and said, yep, and Carolina has House Bill 2, which makes you look like a bigger jackass in the United States than anything else, because I am all for equal rights. Kudos for the NCAA for standing up for equality. I'm completely fine with that. And by the way, it finally takes these stupid ass home games that North Carolina and Duke always get in Greensboro. So whatever. Yeah.
Whatever. So whatever. Josh, can you follow the whatever?
I'm not sure if I can follow a whatever from a woman. That's usually like the mic drop of all mic drops, isn't it? Like I picture Heather just flipped her hair and walked off.
She did. She flipped her hair and dropped the mic at the same time and rolled her neck. I think she rolled her neck too. Whatever.
Yeah. Like maybe gave the hand, like the don't come near me hand, and I agree. And like I said earlier, anything that's going to piss off the media, I'm all for. And this is going to piss some people off because it already happened this year when Duke was playing Carolina in fucking not Greensboro. Where the hell were they playing at in South Carolina? I don't know. When South Carolina played Duke and it was a home game for South Carolina, they were like, oh, it's not fair to Duke. It's not, like, who gives a fuck? Like at some point, if the NCAA is saying, look, this is how it's going to be, I mean, I'm not sure, like, I will take the standpoint, I'm not sure that the NCAA can sit there and say, we're going to get involved in politics. I don't know that that's the NCAA's place, but it is their place to say, we're not going to hold shit there. If this is what you feel, and I mean, the NBA pulled the All-Star game out of there. It's not like it's just the NCAA saying, oh, this isn't going to happen. More power to them. If that's what they want to do and that's their guns and they're sticking to it, have at it. I mean, I'm all for, doing the right thing and being, socially acceptable. And I think it is the right thing to do, but I do think it kind of blurs the lines of what is political and what's not. And I don't know that that's the NCAA's choice to get involved in, but if that's the laws of the state and that's what they choose to do, then, have at it.
Good take. I have to admit, the Winion Gabriel thing
threw you off your game, huh?
That didn't throw me off it really per se didn't throw me off my game. See, I do profess to be of the most manly straight male that there is, but it doesn't make me,
what's in the bag.
Listen, Josh, be honest. Josh, does it make me any less of a man?
Is he eating a $5 fill-up meal from KFC, or what is that?
I don't know. I need your all's opinion. Does it make me any less hetero, the fact that I've probably looked at that pic 3 or 4 times? It's more envy, right? It's envy.
It is. I mean, what's the dollar bill doing? Is that hanging out?
The dollar. I swear, I don't know if I would get. I don't even know. Heather, you guys are Twitter users. Would I get in trouble if I would guess I'd get in trouble if I posted that picture shooting from the lip. I don't know.
Here's another one I have. Who took the picture? It wasn't itself. At some point, Winion made the conscious decision to be like, let me stand on this stairwell with my dick hanging out, eating a $5 fill-up from KFC.
I
don't know if he's eating the chicken fingers or the fucking.
I just spit out my wine.
Comes with the $5 fill-up. He was just like, you know what? Take this. I got this. Hold on, I got the perfect pose for this picture.
Good God. Staying along this mindset, there was a cool article that Bleacher Report put out I'm going to read the article title because I actually am a fan of the app. Tenderization of the NBA reportedly helping players' performance in road games. As a single male, I am okay to use and exploit that app. It's been to my favor several times. But the whole idea that somebody has come out and acknowledged that, Tinder for our NBA guys is actually helping because they're not going out into the club. They're not, making love like a thug. They're hanging out. They're meeting someone on
making
Tinder.
Love like a thug.
Did he really just say that? Did that just happen?
So, Heather, what was when I sent this, I don't know if you got this, hopefully you got to see the link, but when I sent this that, Tinder just got huge props from an anonymous GM in the NBA.
So first of all, it is well known, amongst pretty much, I don't know everyone that follows the NBA, and a lot of people have their side checks, right? There's been a long time rumors about certain NBA players that they'd have their wife sitting on one court and their side chick sitting on the other side. So with that said, you're right. This is kind of the safe way to, what is this, like legal prostitution? I don't know. It's a safe way to keep the guys out of the hotel bar or a club nearby, and they can swipe right, get a girl to the room pretty quickly, I guess. And I don't know, does it allow them to be, I guess, more discreet when they swipe right? I don't know what happened. So,
I can tell you.
Yeah.
When you swipe right.
I've been married for a long time, so I don't know.
I know, and I haven't. So I'm gonna throw this out here.
All right.
I've used it. When you match up with someone, you have your little dialogue, and you just take it from there. Now, Josh, I remember a couple years ago, I want to say, give me one of the Patriots wide receivers. What's his name? Give me.
Like Deion Branch?
No.
Wait, how
white guy.
Going?
No, we're recent. He's still playing.
Julian Edelman?
Edelman.
Julian Edelman?
He after either a Super Bowl, some huge game. I might have been the Super Bowl.
Oh, you're right, Kevin. I remember this.
Yeah,
Some
some chick posts a pic of he's asleep. She's taking a selfie with him in the background, and it says, "I just fucked Julian Adelman."
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. But
Yeah, well,
Josh,
do you remember?
chime in.
This was maybe a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago. J.R. Smith from the Knicks. Well, he plays for the Cavaliers now, but I think he was with the Knicks at the time. Some girl apparently slid in his DMs on Twitter and was like, "Oh, I'm going to be at your game tonight." He was like, "Oh, yeah?" And she hit him with like a winky face, and he was like, "You trying to get the pipe?" Like, that's literally what he said to her in the DMs. Like, he just came out with it. Like, he was just like,
Nice.
"So what's up? Are we fucking or not?" I mean,
Pipe.
so of course these guys are on Tinder, and I mean the sad part is they don't even need to be. Like, I'm sure they could just like go like come find some. I guarantee you, there's groupies that are just waiting out of the stadium for you as soon as you leave.
Yeah, but there is that thrill of
Of course, there is. I would wager to say that I bet these guys probably use Instagram more than they use Twitter or Snapchat or fucking Tinder, whatever. I don't even know. I'm single now. Well, I'm not single, but I've got a wonderful girlfriend in case she's listening. So I've never used Snapchat, but like, I mean, I'm sure these dudes just eat the shit up. I mean, if you're a multi-millionaire that you're just traveling like as much as these guys are, well, shit. What about the fight between Matt Barnes and Derek, the dude that plays for the Lakers?
Yeah, Derek.
Yeah, I mean, like, so yeah. And, I mean, there was like all that. There was one of these dudes that used to play for the Kings. I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but his wife basically used to just travel with him because she was like that attached to him. She was like, "You will not fuck any of these hoes on my watch." She would literally travel with the team.
Yeah.
I can't remember what his name was. He played for the Kings several years ago. But yeah, she was like
Barnes,
literally
right?
like, was
No, you
Barnes
said
his
it.
wife? I don't know if it was or not.
Okay, I don't know.
It might have been. I don't know. Maybe I'm mixing. Maybe I'm thinking about two different things. But yeah.
Okay.
So it's definitely no surprise to me that these guys are using Tinder to hook up and hell, if they're getting laid before the game, I bet that is helping them out. That's like boxers. Don't boxers always say like that's a bad thing to do though? Like that throws them off of their fight if they get hooked, if they like fucking have sex before. However,
no, but this is not before. It didn't say before a game. It's kind of an afterthought.
How is that helping them? How is that helping them in game then?
Well, no, they're saying they're not getting in trouble because they're not out clubbing to the ungodly.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they're not out making love in the club, according to you.
Making love. Yeah, exactly. See, it all comes full circle. It all comes full circle.
That's right.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, not only
last topic to throw at you guys.
Hey, real quick though.
Last topic to throw at you guys. One of the hot debates in the NBA has been these superstar players taking nights off. Now, granted, it's the coach or I don't know, maybe even the GM, somebody who's making the call. But basically, I'm understanding it's the coach. For the benefit of the team, for the benefit of their season and where they're trying to go, teams will rest players. Recently, Charles Barkley has sounded off on guys resting, basically saying that fans should boycott these games. I know there was Cleveland sat out their big three or whatever on a road game. Now, in fairness to fans who spend a lot of coin for these games, I do think it's bullshit when to me, it's almost like false advertising. It's when you're buying a ticket and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to see all these fucking superstars on the court. And then all of a sudden you get there and you realize no LeBron, no Kevin Love, no Kyrie, whoever. Mm-hmm. So I can't remember who it was, but someone made a good point on probably one of the sports talk shows that if they're going to do this, they have to do it at home. They cannot do it on the road. Heather, real quick, your take on the way that NBA teams and now really the NBA, because Silver has stepped in and it's like we got to make some changes. It's not This is
Yeah,
not
Kevin,
the best pictures. Go
Kevin,
ahead.
I think we've talked about this on this podcast before. I think the whole system was wasn't it invented by Greg Popovich at San Antonio when he still had Tim Duncan and oh my God,
Ginobili and Parker. Ginobili. David Robinson.
Yeah. So he cut me. Yeah. I mean, because it was he had at one point, or he did for a while anyway, he had an older roster and he had guys who after, wear and tear, they needed a game or two off, and that was fine. But what has started to happen, and we saw it this year, wasn't it the Golden State Warriors, and was it Oklahoma City that did, both teams sat down? I mean, they sat down their stars. Somebody's going to correct me on this. It was Golden State and somebody. And
I'm pretty sure it was Golden State and Oklahoma City.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that sucks is if you're an NBA fan, which honestly, admittedly, I'm not an NBA fan until we get to the playoffs. That's when I really start paying attention. But if you're an NBA fan and you're following your team, throughout the entire season, and you're spending all this money on tickets, and you go to a game and the star players aren't playing, it does suck. And I the NBA at this point, they kind of need to look at, do we shorten the season? Do we tell players to suck it up? I mean, I don't know. How many games are in the NBA season? You guys know?
82.
It's kind of like, do you shorten the season? Is that an issue? Do you, shorten the playoffs? I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I think if you're going to not give the product that you're selling consistently, no matter what team or what franchise you are, it really sucks for the fans. And by the way, I think this is why a lot of people have a hard time following the NBA, because not only is play inconsistent, but your personnel on the court is inconsistent. So why am I going to spend $200-300 a ticket to go watch your C team play because your boys feel like they need a night off? And I'm fine if it's later in the season, but you have to keep in mind some of these guys are taking time off like a month into the season, and that's why.
Yeah, I mean, Heather, I don't know that I haven't seen anybody take time off a month into the season. I mean, they're taking it off now. Honestly, I mean, I think, to me, all we've told everybody that nothing matters but championships. I mean, that's what we've told LeBron. That's what we've told everybody, is that it doesn't matter what you do in the regular season. I mean, shit, Golden State went 72-10 last year, or no, that was the Bulls. They beat that, so they went 73-9 or whatever the hell they went, and
right.
It didn't matter. In the grand scheme of things, they were just like, okay, whatever. You still lost. You were up 3-1 and you choked. So the way all the coaches are doing is they're trying to set themselves up to have success in the postseason. And I don't agree with it, because if I was a fan and I went to one of those games, I'd be pissed. Because if I'm shelling out $100-200 for a ticket and I go and I see it's like some scrub like Cameron Artist playing for the fucking he used to play for Oklahoma City, he just got traded, but instead of Russell Westbrook, I'm gonna be pissed off. Like I am not gonna be happy about that. But at the same time, I kind of understand it, because they're saying, it doesn't matter what you do in the regular season. I mean, like right now, Cleveland has lost they've lost 7 of their last 10 games or something like that. And they've had a lot of guys have been rested during that time. And yet still, they're like a game ahead of Boston for the number 1 seed in the playoffs. So to them, does it really matter that those guys that they've lost those games? Right. It doesn't, because they're looking at it long term, trying to get rested for the playoffs, and then trying to ball out from there.
Ball in what we've done tonight, guys. You guys have
making love in the club.
Making love in the club with some pictures on as side dishes along the way.
Right.
All right.
Get the pipe. I'm trying to get the pipe and a $5 fill-up box.
Trending. You got it trending tonight. All right. Before I let you guys go, the last thing I ask our panel is to throw out a topic of your choice that's been noodling in your head, something you want to be your last take. I'll start with you, Heather. Go.
Honestly, mine's non-sports related. I hate to be serious, obviously, and Josh lives up in the Cincinnati area. So this, what happened at, on the east side of Cincinnati. We had a club shooting up here, Kevin, 16 people shot, one killed. This is
sad.
This is awful. I mean, it's sad. And, I have seen, and the one thing that I love about Cincinnati, especially when something like this happens, is just everybody coming together and saying the violence has to stop. And hopefully it does. And, prayers out to the victims and their families. And, everybody just, it sucks. I hate seeing this. I can't believe it happened in Cincinnati. It's not terrorism related. I may knew a little more than most because of my husband's profession about what really happened. But at the end of the day, prayers out to those guys. I hated hearing that news this morning.
It totally sucks. This day and age that we live in, it's the reality is that sports is is kind of a break from the reality, and when sports is all done, then that real world sets in. So props to our boys in blue who are doing their job. Heather, your significant other, who take care of us. Definitely shout out to them. But I don't. We're as divided as ever in this day and age within the U.S. and it makes me sick. It makes me sick more because I'm a grandfather. I've got 2 grandsons, and the notion, I think about this shit every now and then, is that in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, what are they going to be dealing with? And I don't always I can't see it through rose-colored glasses. I see, issues and shit. So, all right, we're digressing. But Josh, give us your quick take.
Well, shit, way to bring the mood down, fellas.
I know, right? I'm so sorry.
Damn, this just got heavy real quick. All right. First off, let me start by saying my condolences to everybody in that shooting because that did suck. Heather, I am completely with you. I live in Hebron, Northern Kentucky, and I heard about that shooting, and that's just god awful. I mean, what was it? 14 people and 1 person dead. It's just terrible. So, but back to the fucking real thing while we're here. LeVar Ball. So
there you go.
I brought up this gem of a parent. And I cannot tell you how happy it made me on Friday when we were able to send that fucking guy and his jabbermouth packing. Like, I honestly feel bad for his kids because it's like, you are putting a target on your back, on your kid's back, from you running your goddamn mouth. Like, if you would just shut the fuck up.
In high school. I mean, they're going to hate him in high school. The kids that are in high school now, they're hating him.
Sophomore. He can't even drive yet. And then, like, since the last time I was on, Moore's come out, like, apparently his wife had a seizure and he wouldn't even let his kids go see her in the hospital while they were still playing because he was afraid it would distract them. All right. First off, I'm glad De'Aaron Fox dropped 39 on your kid's ass and made him look like a little bit that he is. All right. Woo! So thank you, LeVar. Fucking suck a dick. South Carolina fans. South Carolina fans, enjoy the Final Four while it lasts because it's not going to be around very long. Take your fucking ass and go back home. I don't want to hear about it because, like, they're the worst. And when it comes to football fans, they're some of the most delusional, and I hope this doesn't happen for them too. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, go North Carolina, even though I hate to say that. Maybe go Gonzaga. How's that? Let's just go with Gonzaga, just win it, wipe out North Carolina so they don't win, wipe out South Carolina so they will shut the fuck up. And Oregon, thanks for coming. Enjoy that Phil Knight money and get out.
Wow, what a fucking ending. Now, if you could have, mic drop, you could have took it up a notch, Josh, if you would have said, if you would have added after suck a dick, especially the one in the pic that is floating around. Could you imagine?
Right. Oh, yeah. That would be like
throat.
That'd be
hashtag throat bruise. Hashtag throat bruise.
Good, yeah.
All right.
That gag reflex is working.
Yeah. Heather, what's up with that gag reflex? I'm joking. It's been a long time. All right. Before I let you guys go, let me give a quick shout out to our show. You can find our show on social media, iTunes, YouTube. Subscribe there, please. We're on Twitter at The Shooting Lip. You can like us, follow us on Instagram, Shooting from the Lip. We also have shows on Monday and Tuesday nights. Same bat time, same bat channel. 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central. Guys, before we let you go, starting with Josh, share your social media, though it's very limited.
Yes, it is very limited. I've told you I'm not on Tinder, so you can't swipe left or right on me there. Sorry, ladies. But yeah, so it's Twitter. Probably the best way to get a hold of me is Twitter, JackTeller_KY. Like I said before, it's a long story, but we'll go with that. And it's been fun, guys. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. SOA, baby. I'm a huge SOA fan. Heather, give us the shout out for your social media, especially to guys who put me on blast for not having you on a Monday night show. You know,
I know. I was a little surprised by that.
Hey, fans.
I'm at Heather. I'm at Heather Tungate 7 on Twitter. I'm Heather Tungate on Snapchat. You know, I do your Sunday night show. On occasion, I show up on your Monday night show, which apparently I need to do more often. And tomorrow night, I think I'm going to be hanging out with the girls from at Big Blue Views for a couple of hours. And, you know, it is what it is. I'm here to have fun. And I don't know. I was going to say something, but I don't have a good big joke. I'm out.
That's all right. We'll always have time for those jokes. All right. For Josh and Heather, Kevin Hale here, wishing everyone a good Sunday night and a pleasant Monday. Peace out, people. Good show, guys. Take care.